The 48 Laws of Power has sold 1 million copies worldwide and has been translated into 20 different languages. I sat down with the New York Times bestselling author Robert Greene at Nick's Martini Lounge in Beverly Hills to discuss his art of power, seduction, and chillin' with 50 Cent. So I read the New Yorker article.
Yes.
It was the big article. You told me to read it before I interviewed you.
Yes, I did.
Why is that?
Well, normally people don't really do articles about me because the books, sort of about power and seduction. So they come to me for advice. And that was the first article that was kind of personal.
Yeah.
So it talked about, for instance, my mother, who always goes into bookstores and takes my books and places them in the front so people will buy them, and all those kind of anecdotes.
Like you need
about
more publicity?
Yeah.
Well, she's a Jewish mom. So.
She's a Jewish mom who is obsessed with her son. And so she goes into bookstores and doesn't identify herself as my mother. And she says, "Do you have the 48 Laws of Power?" And then they say, "Yeah." And then she asks where it is. And then she goes and she sneaks the copies over into the front of the bookstore. Nice. So it has stuff like that in the New Yorker, things you wouldn't normally know about,
When you were growing up, well, actually, when I met you originally, let's go back to this. My brother had been talking about your books for a long time. Dub Charney, he's got a lot of your books. He gives them to people when he fires them. 48 Laws of Power. No. I was actually really surprised when meeting you because you weren't what I expected.
Oh, what did you expect? I always like to hear this. What did you expect?
Well, no, I just...
You expected like Henry Kissinger or something?
I either expected a really old guy, like a wise man, and he's like, I wrote the book, The 48 Laws of Power, blah, 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 blah. Or I expected this young, like, suave guy. Well, you're young, but, like, I really expected, like, a suave guy. Yeah. And you were quiet, you were humble, you're... Like, I mean, and people talk about this, though. I'm not the only one.
I know.
Like, don't act like I'm the only one who thinks this. But the New Yorker also mentioned, I mean, you have this loner personality. I don't want to say that because you're a friend of mine, and I don't think you're a loner.
It said that in the article? Yeah, I never read the article. I never read it. It said I'm a loner?
No. You have a loner personality.
Really?
But like growing up,
I'm a very social person.
I know you are. Yeah. Well, I know that because we've hung out and I know you personally. But why do you think maybe people have that perception when they meet you after reading your books?
Well, the thing is, people have this, any writer, I've met a lot of writers, and they're never what you expect. Because writers are kind of weird people. You live in your head a lot. So in your dream world, you're this powerful, exciting, interesting person. But in fact, a writer is in their office, they're alone a lot, and they're thinking a lot. And they're reading books. So it doesn't tend to make you someone who seems, very powerful or whatever. So I've met writers and I thought they would be like something and they're totally different. But even I met 50 Cent, who I'm going to be doing a book with, and I expected him to be this kind of bruising, strong, intimidating person, and he was actually completely the opposite. He was like this really sweet, kind of calm, very low-key guy. So, everybody's different.
What were you like growing up?
Well, I was a loner.
Oh, the truth comes out.
I had the typical kind of Jewish parents in Los Angeles who were very sort of materialistic. And my father's the nicest person in the world. But I was someone who really was into reading about war and reading literature. So I was kind of sitting in my room reading books a lot and sports. I was like...
Really?
Yeah, I was really into sports. I still am. I love games and sports.
It's like poetry and sports.
Yeah. I was like the Dodgers and the Lakers and warfare and reading books. So I was, kind of into that.
Did you have a lot of friends growing up?
I had friends. I had a fair amount of friends, but then I went to Palisades High School. And, it's like surfer school, and blonde bimbos, male and female, and I just felt so alienated. And then I got into the drug world. Then that's when I felt like this world doesn't make any sense to me. Give me some marijuana and it'll make sense. And I got really into drugs and finally got out of that. But so I was a little bit alienated in high school. But in my street, I had a lot of friends, and we had they talk about in the New Yorker article, we had a really fun childhood with the games we invented. And
like Gestapo?
Gestapo. We invented the cruelest, meanest games. I'm not going to spend hours discussing Gestapo, but basically, they would be like two people. This was in the mountains in West Los Angeles. Yeah. Two people would be the escaped Jews from the concentration camp. And understand, I'm Jewish. I was the only Jew on my street, and I have parents on my father's side, who the whole side was wiped out in the Holocaust. But basically, we were let free at 2 parts of the mountain, and we had to find each other before the Gestapo found us. And the Gestapo were like these 14 other kids who had like dogs. And
where did they get the dogs?
The family dogs, and one of them was a bloodhound.
Oh my God.
It was
and
the
poodles? They're like...
no poodles. It was a dachshund, I think, or something. It was the most terrifying, realistic game you could imagine. But we made it all these different weird rules and everything just to create this sense of terror.
So wow, you were even into war when you were growing up.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. Yeah.
What did you study in college?
Well, I studied literature first, and then I got really into classics. I know that makes me the ultimate geek, but I'm just going to stand up and be proud of my geekdom. And, it's Greek and Latin.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was the most fun thing I could get. I really love ancient history and languages. So
you know 20 languages, right?
20?
Not 20. Your book is in 20 languages. You know.
If I knew 20 languages, I would.
Oh, you'd be king of the world.
No, I know about 5.
5, oh.
Including English, but I am trying to learn Russian right now, so that would make 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really love languages, but it was just I'm really into mental stimulation. I get bored easily.
Taurus. We're both
Taurus.
Tauruses.
Okay, is that what a Taurus thing?
Well, I know we get bored easily.
Okay.
So, no.
What?
No.
All right.
I'm kidding.
No. So this is like, you have to read one paragraph. It would take you a whole day to read one paragraph. It's like a puzzle. And I just love that kind of thing. And so, people think, why would you ever study Greek and Latin? But it's like the best mental discipline anybody could have.
What was it like growing up in LA? Because I know, I mean, I'm not from Los Angeles, I'm from Montreal, and coming here I meet a lot of local people that grew up here, and either you find they're completely unmotivated, they're stuck in this whole superficial thing, or they've done amazing things. What was that like for you growing up here?
Well, I don't know. My parents are your typical Jewish parents in that they really pushed you to do well in school.
Yeah.
So I was really ambitious and got straight A's throughout. But on the other hand, you're surrounded by this kind of slackery, loose culture of let it all hang out and dude, and all that. And man, in high school they were all like that. So I felt kind of at odds with the LA thing. And then I felt really happy when I went to New York and Europe. I felt more at home. But now I came back to New York.